The Lord be praised. What brings you to me?
Sir, can I ask you about something?
Of course, Henry.
Well, I thought since we chased the bandits out of Pribyslavitz, the roads would be safer.
Ah, criticizing your liege lord, are you? And what, in your opinion, should he do about it?
Oh no, I don't mean anything by it. Just that it surprises me.
Easy, lad. I'm only pulling your leg. You're quite right. The roads really aren't safe. Mostly due to one thing. My garrison is a shamble these days. I lost most of my men in Skalitz, and what I'm left with after Pribyslavitz is hardly enough even to guard Pigstein. Let alone guarding the roads and patrolling the rest of the province. I simply don't have the men.
Uh-huh. I understand.
That is, I didn't have the men. As it happens, you've come at just the right time. Recently, I asked an old acquaintance for help. Sir Kuno of Rickwald and his mercenary band. The men who ride with him are a rough lot, mostly former convicts, but they're as capable as any squad of soldiers.
Well, excuse me for being so bold, but there's plenty of mercenaries around. Surely you can find a more respectable band?
You have a point, lad, but I'd like to tell you I talked to Kuno because I trust him. But actually my reasons are of a more pragmatic nature. You see, Kuno owes me a favor, so he'll serve me free of charge.
So, you want me to join them?
Yes, but that's not all. I told Kuno I'd send him a guide, but really what I need is for someone to keep a close eye on him and his men. Someone reliable. And I'd say you fit the part. Go and report to him at his encampment. You'll ride with his band on patrols and make sure they don't get too disorderly.
Who is this Sir Kuno of Rickwald?
He's the last baron of the House of Rickwald, which became impoverished. So he took to the mercenary trade, like many poor noblemen do, unless they become robbers, which often isn't all that different. He's certainly an entertaining companion, but as a mercenary, well, let's just say he has his own particular approach to certain matters.
That sounds a little worrying.
Oh, it's nothing too bad. Just that now and again he needs reminding not to step over the line.
How is he indebted to you?
I did him quite a big service, actually. I saved him from the hangman.
Oh, that sounds like quite a story. How did it happen?
You should ask him. You'll be spending quite a while riding together, so it'll help pass the time. But one thing I can tell you, he seems to have taken inspiration from me. A lot of his men had their own encounters with the executioner too.
All right, I'll go and report to him.
Excellent. He set up camp between Ratai and Ledechko. It's a good base for covering the province. Good luck, Henry. And watch out for yourself.
I will, sir. Thanks.
Good luck, then.
I'll be with you. I'm looking for Sir Kuno. Sir Kuno? Baron Rickwald. Isn't this his camp?
You won't get nothing out of him. You must be Radzig's man. I heard he was supposed to send someone.
Yes, Sir Radzig sent me as a guide. I'm Henry.
I'm Jakey. And this here fella, we call the Stone.
I can see why. What's up with him? Cat got his tongue?
No, more like the dog got it. The executioner's dog. When the executioner ripped it out of him. Anyway, you better come along with me. I'll introduce you to the other fellas. And the chief. These here are the Bearman brothers, Petter and Jan. They're a barrel of laughs, except when they're too drunk to string two words together. Like now. Don't get on the wrong side of them, though. When their blood is up, well, it ain't a pretty sight.
Pleased to make your acquaintance, I'm sure.
Never mind the fancy poses, Stefan. You're trying to kill the fucker, not teach him how to dance. And you, Dangler, stand your ground. Don't let him lead you round by the nose.
Sir? Well, sir, this is Henry. From Lord Kobler.
Ah, it's about time Radzig got round to this. We need someone who knows their way around these parts. Leave off with the bowing and curtsying. We don't hold with that tomfoolery here. Jakey! Where the hell are you sneaking off to? Go to the farm and get water. The lads are thirsty.
But I went last time.
And you'll go next time, you ungrateful pup. Get your ass moving. Snot-nosed brat. You pull them out of a pile of shit, and they thank you with back talk. Where were we? Oh yeah. We need a guide who knows these parts. So I hope I can rely on you, Herman.
It's Henry.
Right. Well, as I said to Radzig, I don't want to carry any dead weight. We could find ourselves in some very tight situations where every sword counts.
I know how to handle a sword, all right?
I've heard a lot of fellas say that. They still ended up on the wrong end of one. We'll find out. Stefan, take a break. Dangler, let's find out what Harold here can do.
Sure. No problem, Chief.
You didn't fare badly at all, I must say. You can ride with us.
All right, good. Thanks.
Don't thank me yet. You don't know what you're letting yourself in for.
Sir Kuno, can you tell me something about yourself?
Drop the sir. That title brought me nothing but grief. But what do you want to know?
Sir Radzig told me the Rickvold family lost its wealth. How did that happen?
There's all sorts of ways to become impoverished. Nothing easier. Especially when your father's a fool. And your mother's mad as a bat.
Oh.
But it's a long and twisted story. We took our name from Rickvold Castle. But that actually belonged to the convent of the Poor Clares in Tynitz. And my father only leased it. You see, he knew the abbess there since they were young. Knew her very well. There was even talk that she only joined the order because her family wouldn't let her marry him. Anyway, whether he was fucking her right there in the convent, or he just took a lot of interest in scripture, he spent an awful lot of time in Tynitz.
Oh, he might have been after a bit of both.
Sinning and confessing all in one place. Well, I can see the convenience of it. Anyway, my mother never had strong nerves. Truth be told, her sanity was always shaky. Pa's escapades drove her cuckoo entirely. Then, one frosty December morning, I was woken by screaming and smoke. I looked out the window and I saw my mother there in the courtyard, wreathed in flames. Behind her, the stables, the farm buildings and the tower were burning too. And she just stood there, shrieking with laughter.
Christ. That sounds like a scene straight out of hell.
Hellish it was, I can tell you. Me and my sister Adela and a few servants managed to get out before the whole place went up. I couldn't get to my father. Or my little brother. Poor lad was only 7. My sister and I were left destitute after the fire. But then my cousin, Adam of Drevich, took us into his castle. A few weeks later, he offered to buy what was left of our estates and sell me a small fortress near a Kovnik. It was a great relief. We suddenly had some hope of a future again. So I told my sister about it. And it was the biggest mistake of my life. A week later, the two of them announced to me they were getting married. And all that was left of our estates, lands, woods, villages, Adela was to get it all as a dowry.
But surely that was for you to decide. You were the head of the family, right?
Aye. Only I barely had 17 years under my belt, and I'd just lost everything. Of course, I argued with them, and that was the only excuse they needed to kick me out of Drevich too.
That's pretty harsh.
You're telling me. But I'm not complaining. As my pa always used to say, if you can turn your hand to something, you'll never be lost. I doubt it ever crossed his mind how often I'd remember those words.
What about your debt to Sir Radzig? How did that come about?
A twist of fate, lad. I was fighting in the hostilities between the House of Schallenberg and the town of Colleen. Some trade dispute it was, and I fought under the Schallenberg colours. In the end, the two sides negotiated a truce, and I rode to Colleen with the delegation that was to parley there. We stopped off at an inn on the way, and it was there that I met Radzig Kobyla. I could tell at first sight he was a man after my own heart. A likeable rogue, with a sharp mind and a merry soul. We spent the whole night drinking together and talking, and in the morning we set off together, with sore heads, but in good temper, since he was travelling the Colleen same as I was. Only, once we reached the city gates, they arrested me on the spot. Seems the burghers had it in for me, since I'd been making their lives hell for a good 6 months. On the other hand, I was a member of the peace delegation, so by rights, they shouldn't have even looked at me sideways. And then it hit me why Radzig was there. Colleen is a royal city, so he was there to represent the king's interests.
I see. So he was on the other side.
That's right. Anyway, they threw me in a dungeon, and a few days later word reached me that the Schallenbergs had reached an agreement with the burghers. Only part of the deal was they would give them my head. And I'd surely have ended my days swinging from the town battlements if it hadn't been for Radzig. He liked me, and he could see it was a dirty trick, so he somehow squared things with the city council.
Lucky for you.
Indeed. I owe my life to Radzig, and I'll never forget it. He's asked me twice before for help. This is the 3rd time, and how could I refuse him?
I'd like to ask about your men.
Ask away.
What about the fellow they call Dangler?
I've never ridden with a better man, I can tell you. He doesn't say a lot, but for that, he listens all the better. Nothing escapes him.
So he scouts for you?
Not just that. It's happened more than once. I was closing a deal with someone, and Dangler told me after that he didn't like the smell of the fellow nearly every time he was right, and the fellow tried to stab me in the back afterwards.
Those Behrman brothers are quite a pair.
Indeed they are. There's no more mercy in them than in, well, a bear. If I told them to skewer you on the spot, they'd do it, without batting an eyelid.
Jesus.
Oh, aye. They'd argue first about which one of them got to do the job. But they're as obedient as a huntsman's dogs. Real soldiers, the pair of them. Reliable, as long as they don't get too drunk. Then there's no keeping them under control. But nobody's perfect.
What can you tell me about Stefan?
Fletching? For one thing, he's a very resourceful fellow.
How did he come to join your band?
Well, let's just say he was in the right place at the right time. You'll find he has quite a knack for that.
What exactly happened?
Sorry, I'd love to tell you the whole story, but I'd be betraying his trust.
Oh, now you've got me curious. Maybe I should ask him myself.
Sure, why not? Our Fletch does love to converse.
What about that dumb one? How did he end up with you?
The stone? Oh, he just kind of tagged along.
Just like that?
Aye, just like that. We were riding from Olomouc to a castle past Kladsko when we ran into him and some other wayfarers camping along the way. You know how it goes. We made acquaintance with them, had a drink or two. Then we travelled on together. After all, there's safety in numbers.
I'm not sure I'd be thinking that if I ran into you lot on the road.
We might have done some things I ain't proud of, but wayfarers are sacred even for me. Anyway, our fellow travellers dropped off along the way. One in Mohelnitz, one in Schoenberg, and the rest in Kladsko. Except for the stone. He stuck with us the whole way. The fellas kept asking him what he was after, but of course he never said a word. When we were approaching Barsdorf, I ordered the men to get rid of him. I had some business at the castle, and I didn't want any strangers sticking their noses in. Stefan tried to tell him nicely, but he just sat there, staring like he was turned to stone. That's when we gave him the name. Then the Bearman brothers tried to get him off his horse. He booted Jan in the face and knocked him out cold. Then he jumped down and felled Petter with one punch. A man who can do that is a man you want on your side. So we kept him.
Weren't you worried about having a stranger in your band? Especially one who didn't talk.
No, I figured if he can't talk, he can't tell. Besides, I've had worse.
What about Jakey?
Jakey, that boy will be the death of me. You've got to be tough on him, or he's good for nothing. But I'm fond of him, in a way.
Like a son?
I wouldn't go that far. But I've no family of my own. And unlike those other cutthroats, he seems to me like a good lad.
Well, you're pretty hard on him, though. And the others keep him on his toes, too.
The boy needs a firm hand. I was like him once, and I got the same too. If we let him be, we'd end up with a third bear man. And who'd want that?
True. 2 is more than enough. What is it, Jakey?
The stone wants to talk with you, if you can call it that. Probably about that ring.
What ring?
Ah, no one told you about it. The fellas call it the Ring of Bacchus. It's a kind of game we play. Kuno gave us this ring. It's just a worthless bauble. But when we're at the tavern, Kuno pays everything for the man who has the ring. So we steal the ring from each other and try to trick each other. Well, actually, just the others. They won't let me play. Kuno says I'm too young to get boozed up.
That sounds like a lot of fun. But I don't have the ring, so why does the stone want to see me?
He probably wants you to steal it from someone. Since you're new, the fellows will talk to you, and it won't be suspicious.
All right. I'll have a word with him. Hey, Jakey, can you tell me something about yourself?
Want to get matey, eh? Sure, Henry. What do you want to know?
How did you end up in Kuno's band?
Well, I used to be a baker's hand in Prague, but all the other fellas were always on my back, always swearing at me. Sometimes they even beat me up, took everything I had. To make a bit of coin, I started going to the tavern across the road, entertaining the rich gents with jokes, playing the fool. Sometimes someone would throw me a half-groschen. One time, Kuno turned up there, and I got to talking with him. When I told him all the shit I was getting at the bakery, he offered to take me with him.
I bet you were glad to get out of there.
Yeah, though it's not like they give me much peace here either. It's all,
Jakey, come here. Jakey, go there. Jakey, get that.
Well, surely you can't be any worse off here than in the bakery.
No. Only, at the bakery, the worst I ever got was a beating. It's not like my life was in danger. But here, when those Beerman brothers are drunk, I have to keep well out of sight.
How come they bullied you at the bakery? It's usually the shy ones bullies pick on. That's not exactly you.
Not now, maybe. I learned a thing or two since then.
Oh, come on, you shy? You just said you were playing the fool and telling jokes in the tavern.
All right, I'll tell you the truth. They picked on me because I'm an orphan. The parish priest of St. Apollinaire's in Prague found me as a baby in the church one winter's morning. I spent half my childhood in parish houses and half on the street.
I see. That must have been tough.
It still is tough, I can tell you that.
Jakey sent me to you. Something about a ring?
Mm-hmm.
I suppose you want me to get it from someone?
Mm-hmm.
Who has it? You mean Kuno?
Mm-mm.
Jan Behrman?
Mm-mm.
Does Dangler have it?
Mm.
All right. How should I get it? I got the ring from Dangler. Yeah, well, I suppose there's not much more either of us can say about it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, thanks to you too. I hear you like a game of dice.
You're a brave soul taking me on. I'm not used to losing.
About time it went my way.
Your turn.
I'll never repeat that.
Should I? Shouldn't I? No, I did it.
I hope that's the end of it.
That's it. We'll see. Bit of luck at last.
I feel a lucky throw coming my way. How about you? Should we ride out?
Aye, we ought to set out on patrol about now. Hope you've got your kit ready and whatnot. I'd like to head to the north. Is there anything interesting that way?
North of here, Samapesh and Merhoyed are that way, and Talmberg is a bit further on. There's stables in Merhoyed.
I wouldn't mind paying a visit to those stables. We can go through there.
And from there?
From there, we'll follow our noses. Something interesting is sure to turn up. Feel it in my bones. Mount up and let's go.
Sure. Chief.
What a fine day, eh, brother?
Indeed, brother.
You know what I like best about days like this, Jan?
The scent of chamomile wafting from the hillsides.
Among other things.
Ah, like the rounded hills, rising, perky, all soft and pink in the sunlight.
And the fertile valley below, spreading wide and inviting.
Dew glistening in a mossy hollow.
The sweet aroma of honey in the air.
The sturdy poplar, standing tall and erect.
Aye, it reminds me of that day. That day when the two of us fought Fletcher's ma.
Very droll. You'd make a stuffed bird laugh.
Your ma's a stuffed bird. I stuffed her myself.
I can't smell any chamomile.
Well, men, how are things?
May I?
Yes, Fletch?
How shall I be? I'm a little concerned about the prospects of the plans, Chief.
Oh, how's that?
I've been looking around, and if you'll pardon me, it seems to me that we've been stuck for a long time in our sort of knowledge.
It's not Paris, France, I'll grant you.
What I mean to say is, I haven't got any new kit or arrows since the day Jakey joined me. It makes me uneasy, Chief.
I see. What about the rest of you?
I don't know what Fletcher's moaning about. There's plenty of booze and loose wenches nearby.
Not to mention fools in the taverns who don't know when to stop rolling those dice.
Dangler?
It's the arsehole of beyond everywhere we go. And it always makes me uneasy.
Jakey?
Fletch can complain. I was supposed to get a suit of armor, and all I got was a shitty kettle hat.
Sorry, but they don't do hauberks in girls' sizes.
Oh, well how did you get yours then?
All right, I appreciate your honesty, lads. Don't worry, there will be plunder. We're here to fight, and to the victor the spoils. That's how it's always been, but no purse of silver will shed blood for you on the battlefield. That's what this company is for. And I hope you never forget the golden rule. You can joke all you want, moan all you want, but nothing will keep your skins in one piece better than trusting your leader, who you choose by your own free will. So don't ever forget that.
Amen.
Gee, think there's something going on over there.
Let's go! Behind me, and keep your eyes peeled. What do you think we can expect this time, fellas?
Groschen, hidden in a piss pot under the bed. Nice chunk of beef. No one there will be eating.
On account of it'd just fall out through the holes in their bellies, eh, brother?
My mouth is already watering, brother, and I ain't even touched the purse yet.
Once you get your hands on some loot, I'll be happy to play you for your hard-earned grosh.
Poor old Fletch. Never gets to see the action from close up.
What about you, Dangler? What do you expect to find?
Futility and human suffering, like always.
Always full of good cheer, eh, Dangler? Why don't you take a leaf out of Stone's book and shut the fuck up?
Jesus, I wish you'd all shut the fuck up.
Keep your eyes peeled, though. There might be someone hiding out here still. Look for clues and question the survivors, if there are any.
Still smouldering. Whoever torched it can't have got very far. They weren't even armed. Jesus Christ, what a massacre. God almighty. Looks like it happened fast. No signs of resistance. They simply slaughtered them like animals. Poor wretch. Kuno will want to know about this. Poor creature. Hunted down like game. They went this way. Seems they met some resistance at the farm. Ugh, what a waste. But at least I know which way they went. There they are.
Answer to my prayer. Just what I wanted to bet.
I found this shield in a shed along with a letter. Seems like someone left us a message.
Show me that. I know that crest. It's the House of Zul. Dangerous lot, God's truth. I don't think we'll find anything else here. We'll stay here a while, just in case. And you should go and report to Radzig what happened.
What do you know about these Zuls?
A family of impoverished nobles. They fought in the Margraviate Wars in Moravia. But what they're after in Bohemia, no idea.
That's not all. I tracked down those raiders.
You did? Where are they?
But they were a short way off to the east, in the woods, dividing up their loot.
Were? They're gone now? Which way?
Down. To hell, where I sent them.
What? Jesus, Henry. Are you out of your mind?
Well, I took advantage at the moment of surprise.
Christ above, I've met some mad bastards in my time, but... All right. I'll send someone there to scout around. Meanwhile, you have a snoop around here and see if you can find anything interesting.
Greetings. What business have you?
Sir, I'm afraid I have some bad news. We came across a burnt-out farm near Merhayed.
Christ! It seems Pribyslavitz wasn't the end of it.
Oh, this is something else, sir. We found a shield there with a crest. A tricolour star on a blue field.
I know that coat of arms, unfortunately. It's the House of Zul.
There was a letter there, too.
Show it to me. Although I think I already know what it will say.
Here you are, sir.
Unscrupulous beast. Cruelty and malevolence. I challenge you to face me in a duel, defend your honor. Antinomius wretch. Well, that's nice. Signed, Hagen Zul. As I expected, old grievances coming back to haunt me.
This Sir Hagen wants to challenge you to a duel.
Apparently, he still hopes I will agree to this kind of outmoded solution to disputes.
Surely you can't refuse a challenge to a duel. What about your honor?
Henry, my boy, honor is a splendid thing, and it should be held in high regard. But in time, you'll learn that some matters are not so straightforward.
Like this one?
Yes, like this one. The only reason Hagen is challenging me now is that he has a marked advantage. I've served as the royal hetman for the last 15 years and become a courtier. Hagen, meanwhile, was fighting in the Margraviate Wars in Moravia and elsewhere as a mercenary. Which of us do you think would win a duel? That's not honor, but an abuse of honor. Commonplace opportunism. I don't blame him for trying, but I'm not such a fool as to play by his rules.
What happened between you and Sir Hagen?
That's a long story.
Well, I'd like to hear the whole story, sir, if you wouldn't mind.
Very well. It began in the first year of King Wenceslas's reign. He sent me to resolve a dispute between the Zuls and a neighboring house. It concerned land boundaries. The Zuls had refused to accept the ruling of the land court. His Majesty's position was a little shaky after his coronation. So a decision was made in the royal court to take radical action against any dissent in the kingdom. Since the Zul family was defying the king, we were obliged to punish them. Harshly, as the circumstances demanded. The head of the family, Hagen's father, was hanged, their castle razed to the ground and their property confiscated.
So, they're out for vengeance. But you acted according to the law.
Would it were that simple, lad. I was young and didn't realize the repercussions it would bring. For one thing, the king didn't use it to strengthen his position. On the contrary, he took less and less interest in such affairs.
How come?
Because he realized things would eventually sort themselves out. He promoted me to royal hetman, leaving him to pursue other interests. Secondly, My actions essentially created another band of robbers. When you strip a nobleman of his property, you can't expect him to take to begging. And thirdly, I wasn't aware at the time that the other party to the dispute was distantly related to me. Naturally, that made it look like I was acting in self-interest. If I'd known what I know today, I'd have been a lot more circumspect.
Well, what are we going to do about this?
You and Kuno's band will just have to deal with Hagen and prevent further mayhem. The longer he's marauding around these parts, the greater the chances that I'll finally have to succumb to his conditions.
So you'd fight him, if it came to that?
Let's hope it doesn't come to that. But maybe there's something else behind this challenge. Maybe it's coin he's after. Who knows?
All right. We'll deal with him, sir.
I'm sure you will, Henry.
I'd like to ask something about this Sir Hagen.
Sure. See you later.